Hey everybody, this is Vince Miller. Thank you so much for joining me for another devotional. Shout out today goes to Jody Jones from Ohio, who works with Millwood Incorporated. Brother, thank you for doing marketplace ministry. Thanks for working with a great organization. And tell your ownership thank you for working under the label of Jesus, not the label of Jesus for financial gain, but the label of Jesus to bring him glory across our country and even to the employees that they lead. With that, Jody, this devotional is for you and your guys today. I pray it blesses you. It's from John chapter 11. I'm going to read verses 49 through 53. Remember, Lazarus has just been raised from the dead. A group of people head back to Jerusalem, which is just over the hill, a couple of miles away. They report to the religious officials what has happened. The Sanhedrin, or the religious officials, have a ruling meeting, a council, where they're going to discuss, what do we do about this Jesus guy? Which is always the big question. What to do with Jesus, right? So they're having a discussion, and then someone speaks up. Here's what happens next. But one of them, Caiaphas, who was the high priest that year, so the highest member of this council, said to them, "You know nothing at all, nor do you understand that it is better for you that one man should die for the people, not that the whole nation should perish." Now, he did not say this of his own accord, but being the high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the nation, and not for the nation only, but also together into one, the children of God who are scattered abroad. So from that day on, they made plans to put him to death. So Joseph Caiaphas was the high priest who served from about 18 to 36 AD, so at the time of Jesus. And as the highest religious executive at the time, he worked in pretty close relationship with some Roman officials, one of who was Pontius Pilate, a very infamous character in the Bible, of course. And John clarifies that in the same year, Caiaphas, the high priest, received a prophecy from God, which tells us that this prophecy was pretty public knowledge. So Caiaphas seizes the moment in this meeting of the Sanhedrin to make the connection between the prophecy he was given and the man Jesus. But here's what's interesting about this moment. It's so fascinating. Caiaphas's plan and God's plan are perfectly aligned. I mean, Caiaphas is right to say it is better for you that one man should die for the people, not that the whole nation should perish. He's right in saying that. His prophecy and statement are spot on. But Caiaphas's motivation and end goal are not aligned with God's motivation and end goal. And you know what that is? That is the amazing sovereignty of God at work. God can work through the choices and actions of both righteous and unrighteous men to accomplish his purposes. We see that time and time again in the Bible. Now, most of the time, we don't always see this happening. So, you know what we do? We get confused. We're frustrated because of this. And then we look out and see sinful men who appear to be getting ahead and doing just fine, while God-fearing men are victims of their deceptive and evil decisions. But God and his plan will never be thwarted. God can redeem and reorient selfish motives as they're being formed and instantly use them to bring glory to his name. Mankind cannot outwit and outplan God. We can't do that. And if you've lived long enough on planet Earth with God, you know that's always true. So, fellas, if you feel a little confused and frustrated with all that's happening in your life or maybe in the world today, the question is this: why? I mean, do you not think God's got this thing? I mean, really? I mean, do you think that there's a person or a leader or a friend who can actually outwit and outplan God? Really? So stop worrying about that. And trust that God's got this thing today. And then after that, examine your motivations and get them aligned with God's motivations at all costs. I mean, make sure your personal interests and your ambitions and your considerations in this life never attempt to overshadow and outmaneuver and outthink and outplan God. Because guess what? You're never going to be able to do that. You're either on board with his plan or you need to get out of the way, because in a battle of wills, God is going to win every single time. I love you guys. I hope this blessed you today. If it has, share it with someone else, and I'll see you right back here again tomorrow.